salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about some romances that have bisexual characters in them. Hello, welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Trope Week. If you don't know what Trope Week is, it is a series that I do occasionally here on my channel where for an entire week I will pick a specific romance book trope and give you a bunch of recommendations. And because it's June and it's Pride Month, I have to give you all of the queer recommendations. I just have to do it. That's what we've been doing this week. I have been recommending a ton of romances that have amazing queer and LGBTQ plus representation. I've done so many videos already. I did sapphic historical romances, queer fantasy books, the list goes on and on. So I will leave the playlist down below if you want to catch up or watch previous seasons. Okay, seasons. This is a whole motion picture production right here. Today we're going to be talking about romances with bisexual characters. This one I've been really looking forward to filming. I did a video like this once before, and I have even more recommendations. If you didn't know, I am bisexual, so I'm really excited to be recommending some books to you guys. These books are so special. They mean so much to me. I can't even describe the feeling of seeing yourself represented in books. It's unmatched. Like, it brings you so much joy and peace to feel yourself seen and heard, like in a romance book. And I'm such a firm believer that I think everyone deserves to see themselves represented and seen, especially when it comes to happily ever afters. And that's why I think that romance books are so incredibly important. And yeah, it's just really, really special to me. Books in general, reading books, the bookish community, this bookish space, the friends I've been able to create have always been a very safe space for me, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. And it's funny, I think I came out to you guys before I even came out to my family, so it's a whole thing. I feel so grateful to have these romance books and to also tap into the bookish community. So I'm over the moon excited to talk about some of my favorite books that have amazing bisexual representation. I think I have like over 20 books in this video, so it's going to be very, very, very long. I'll try to breeze through them. I'll try to keep it brief, but you know, I had to really bring it for this recommendation video. So let's go ahead and jump in. So my first recommendation, I'm pretty sure this was actually the first romance book that I read that had bisexual representation. And I remember reading it and being like, gosh, I love this. Like, oh my gosh, it felt so special in that moment. And it was Zeni by Rebecca Weatherspoon. Zeni is a contemporary romance with a marriage of convenience trope. Marriage of convenience, I feel like it's very difficult to work in a contemporary setting. It just makes more sense when it's like a historical romance, but this one did it so well. Follows our heroine Zeni. Her aunt recently passed away. Her aunt was someone that she was extremely close to, so she's definitely grieving in the beginning of the book. Her aunt also had a lot of money and a lot of property. She leaves practically all of it, including her house, to Zeni. However, there is a stipulation in the will that Zeni has to marry someone of her aunt's choosing. That is where our hero Mason comes in. He was also very close to Zeni's aunt. There was also a portion of money left to him in the will, but you guessed it, he has to marry Zeni to get that inheritance. They both have different dreams and ambitions where they could really benefit from the money, so they decide that they're going to get married, marriage of convenience, and it follows their romance. I love them together so freaking much. Both of our characters in this book are bisexual. This book is hot. It's so hot. It has a pegging scene in here, which I remember when I read that for the first time, I was gagged and gooped. I loved it, so I highly recommend this book. All right, it would not be a recommendation video if I do not recommend my favorite author of all time, Marina Vivancos. You guys already know the drill at this point, okay? I find any excuse to talk about her because I love her so deeply and I feel like she's so underrated. Predominantly writes on Kindle Unlimited. All of her books are queer and they have amazing mental health representation as well. Diversity, the representation, the culture in her books is just so freaking unmatched. I am constantly in awe of her whenever I'm reading one of her newer books. All of her books are queer and most of them have one or two bisexual characters in them. I'm just going to talk about a few, but if you want more, check out my Marina Vivancos video, okay? So the first one was actually, I think this was the first book that I read by her, and it's Crybaby. This is a novella, about 60 to 80 pages, so a very quick read if you want to pick it up. It is a male-male friends to lovers romance. Hero Jason and Sasha met because they're co-workers and they instantly became best friends because they do have a lot in common. In this book, our hero Jason identifies as bisexual, and he's also kind of like exploring this new kink of his where he likes to make people cry. Not like in a BDSM or even in a degrading mating situation, more that he likes to make people cry with like overwhelming pleasure. He's more of like a pleasure dom, and he's really exploring that part of himself. And one day he goes to the club with his best friend Sasha. Sasha has always known that he was gay, but he came from a family that wasn't quite accepting, and he's never felt comfortable exploring that side of him with anyone except his best friend Jason. So he ends up propositioning Jason to have like a friends with benefit situation because he trusts him. Of course, real feelings get involved. This one for a novella is so well done. It gives you the emotional connection, it gives you the sexy times, and also their banter is hilarious. Truly what I love about friends, lovers, romances is that they already have that existing comfortability with each other. There's already that trust and that banter, then you add sexy times on top of it. Stop. I absolutely love it. This is such a good novella. Next one I would recommend is Sicken of the Calm. This is the first book in her Fox Lake series, which I think is technically new adult. I feel like this series is criminally underrated, truly. And this is another friends to lovers romance. So this book follows Joaquin and Ezra, who originally went to high school together. Joaquin has always known that he was bisexual, but he was never really comfortable coming out in high school. He always had a crush on a guy at his school named Ezra, and this was like his bi-awakening, essentially. He never thought that him and Ezra would see each other again until one day he realizes that they attend the same college, end up getting paired together for a project at school, so they spend a lot of time together. Like I said, this is a friends lovers romance. Our two characters are also realizing that they're very interested in the BDSM lifestyle, so they decide to kind of like explore and learn that together. There was something like so achingly beautiful about the connection and the trust that our two characters had with one another, and it's just stunning, absolutely beautiful. I will say that most of Marina's books are very, very emotional, but Crybaby and Sicken of the Calm are a little bit lighter in tone, so I feel like they're really good to pick up. The other two books in the series also have bisexual characters. So Nights Without Night is the second book in the series. It's another male-male romance. Two characters are childhood friends. They grew up together, but one of our heroes actually ends up deploying into the military, like in this very specialized unit, so he spends months and months away from our other hero. They grow up, they live separate lives, but they're always finding their way back to each other. One of our heroes goes to an art institute, and the other hero ends up retiring from the military. He's really struggling to acclimate into society and has a lot of PTSD. Our other hero absolutely supports him. Like, the mental health representation in here is just so well written. The way that you want to cry, but it also feels incredibly healing at the same time. And you can just tell like our two characters are absolute soulmates in this book. And then the next one is Fruit. It follows Iva and Sebastian. Our heroine identifies as bisexual in this book. Our heroine is partying and at the club, and as she's walking home, she finds this cat that is under a dumpster and literally about to die. So she tries to like save this cat, and our other hero ends up seeing her and helping her. And then the next day, the both of them try to adopt this cat. So they have like this shared custody situation over this cat that they found. 1 week he's with her, 1 week he's with him, and in that they really develop a friendship with one another. Our hero Sebastian runs an organization that houses LGBTQ teenagers and allows them a safe space to create art. Our heroine is an artist herself, so she ends up volunteering there, and it follows their romance. I love this one as well. I love all her books. I'm gonna recommend one more, just one more, and then we will move on to another author. And I have to recommend this one because it's actually my favorite book that she's ever written, and it's called Divine River. Another friends lovers romance. Clearly that is my favorite trope, and this is also a small town romance. It really follows our main character Jason, who is in a place in their life where they are just discovering their sexuality, discovering their identity. They have realized that they really love to be both masculine and feminine. They've always known that they were gay, however their family was just not accepting of it whatsoever, and he's hidden those pieces of himself until one day he gets a new neighbor, Jason, and they instantly become friends. Our hero Jason in this book is bisexual, and he really supports Mike in his journey to just being his true self. Their connection is so sweet and so supportive, and I love the small town romance vibes. Oh, this is just such a good book. I have reread it so many times, so highly, highly recommend. All right, moving on to another author that does the bi-awakening trope so freaking well is Tao Bauer. I love Taboo's books so much. I'm slowly making my way through his entire backlist, and he's another author that I've consistently given 5 stars. My favorite book that they've written is You and Me. This is a single dad romance. This book follows our hero who is really going through a difficult time, and his wife has recently passed away. They had a very toxic marriage. It's this really odd balance of him grieving who he fell in love with, but also recovering from that toxic relationship and becoming more confident in himself. He is also a single dad. He has 1 son, and him and his son are just not connecting. Son is in high school, wants absolutely nothing to do with him. His teenage son holds a lot of anger and a lot of resentment, and he is just scrambling to find any way to reconnect with him. Son plays high school football. He decides that he's going to volunteer for the football team, be there at every game and just to connect with his son again. And as he is volunteering, he meets our other hero, Landon, who is the president of the PTA. He is also a single dad. His son plays on the high school football team, and his son is best friends with our hero's son. A lot of time together volunteering, and it follows their friends lovers romance. This one is so good. Oh my gosh. I feel like this one is actually underrated. Taboo's like sports romances are very, very popular, and a lot of people talk about those. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one, and you need to. Speaking of sports romance, a very popular one, and for very good reason, is The Rest of the Story. This is a male-male hockey romance. This book follows our hero who is a professional hockey player. He has played in the league for many, many years, and suddenly he gets transferred to a new team. And this new team is kind of like a death sentence for the NHL, okay? Who gets sent there either get injured or they retire. So he is very apprehensive to go to this new team, but he doesn't have much of a choice. When he gets there, he immediately knows that something is off. Captain of this team is both physically and mentally abusive to the entire team, and he is kind of like their last hope. They all requested for him to be transferred to this team because they just felt like he would be able to help them. The book follows as he is rebuilding these connections with all of his teammates and trying to create like a safer space. He ends up having a romance with the co-captain Shay. Both of them really rely on each other as they are building this team back up. This book is so emotional. I would recommend checking out the trigger warnings before picking it up, but I will just say Taboo is so good at writing that emotional connection between characters. The 2 characters in this book genuinely felt like soulmates. Absolutely felt like soulmates. The way they respected each other, the way that they just like courted each other, it felt very classic. I love it. It has so many tropes that I just eat up. I don't want to do any spoilers, but there's one trope in here that I just love. One of our heroes is like saving himself for marriage, not because of like religious reasons, but just because he's really seeking that emotional connection before he dives into that physical connection. And the way his partner supports him, so sexy. I love this one. All right, last one from Taboo that I'm going to talk about is called How to Say I Do. This is another male-male romance that has a friends to lovers trope and a bi-awakening trope. The book follows our heroes Noel and Wyatt. Noel is actually engaged to be married to a woman, and on the day of their wedding, his fiance leaves him at the altar. Very scandalous. They were planning on going to Cancun for their honeymoon on like this all expenses paid resort, and it's booked. It's done. No refunds. So he decides that he is going to still go on the honeymoon and just drown his sorrows in a bottle of tequila. So that is what he plans on doing at the airport bar, and that is where he meets our hero Wyatt. Wyatt is also heading to Cancun because his younger brother is getting married there. He really sees Noel at the worst point of his life and decides to show him kindness and really decides to be there for him, and they quickly develop a friendship. In this airport bar, they both head to Cancun together when they realize that they're going to the same place. And when they get there, the hotel staff actually thinks that they are the married couple because Noel had like this honeymoon package. So they decide to just go with it. It has a little bit of a fake dating trope. They end up doing all of like the excursions and the events that were planned for this honeymoon, and they fall in love. When they meet, they're both kind of broken, but they're also falling in love, but also working on themselves. I feel like this just is such a good blend of that emotional connection. Again, Taboo is so good at writing that, and I really, really like this one. Next up, let's switch it up. I'm going to talk about a novella, and that is Party Favors by Erin McLellan. Easily one of my favorite novellas. I know I've talked about it so many times, but I truly, truly love it. And it is a part of their So Over the Holiday series, which is a collection of novellas that focus on different holidays. So 4th of July, Christmas, Valentine's Day. This one just happens to be set during New Year's. It follows our 2 heroines. This is a sapphic romance. Both of our heroines identify as bisexual. They end up meeting online through social media. They have a shared love of fashion. They decide that they're going to meet in person for the very first time on New Year's. And when they meet in person, the chemistry is off the freaking charts. They end up creating like this bucket list of all of these adventurous things that they want to do during New Year's and kind of like doing them together. This one is sexy and sweet and just like the perfect novella. Another author, or this one is actually an author duo that writes the bi-awakening trope so well, is Eden, Finley, and Saxon James. Now, they write books separately and they also write books together. When they write together, it's absolute magic. I also like their own books as well. They have an extensive backlist, like so many freaking books. I've read a lot of them and I've loved all of them, so truly you can just like pick a book through their backlist. I mean, I'm sure you'll find like a trope that you like. My favorite and the place that I feel like they thrive the most is when they co-write together sports romances. They do sports romances so well, and one of my favorite series is their CU hockey series. First book in that series does have a bi character, and it's called Power Plays and Straight A's. This is a male-male hockey romance. The book follows our heroes Foster and Zach. Our hero Foster goes to this college to play for their hockey team, and his plan has always been to make it into the NHL, and that's his focus. However, his twin brother's best friend also goes to the same college as him. His twin brother actually asks him to kind of like keep an eye on his best friend. Our hero is very, very introverted, but he's able to like be himself when he's around our hero Foster. This is another friends lovers romance. Absolutely love the two of them together. It is so freaking cute if you're looking for a good sports romance. Another one that I really like is Frat Wars. This one is just by Saxon James. Follows our hero Chad and Bailey. They're both in college and they actually belong to rival fraternities. Now, these two fraternities absolutely hate each other. Chad is kind of known as this jokester and he just loves to play pranks. It's like this annual tradition called the Frat Wars where the two fraternities are pitted against each other and they play a bunch of pranks, steal different items from each other to like gain points. This has a little bit of an enemies to lovers trope. Our two characters are rivals. They're both trying to win these frat wars for their fraternity, but they end up falling for each other. I would describe this more as like a romantic comedy and I loved it. I think this whole series has a bi-awakening trope to it. The last one is really good. It's called Presidential Chaos, and that is a romance between two presidents of the rival fraternities. Next one I want to recommend is actually a historical romance, and it's called A Duke in Disguise by Cat Sebastian. Our heroine in this book owns a publishing company with her brother. Their father owned the company, but when he passed away, they ended up inheriting it. So she decides that she wants to create like the very first erotica book, and that is where our hero comes in. She ends up commissioning him to create art for this new concept that she has. They end up working really, really closely with one another. They're creating this book and it follows their romance. The reason this is called A Duke in Disguise is because our hero ends up discovering that he has ties to nobility when he never knew that he did. So this is a really cute friends lovers romance. Sebastian just writes really good queer historicals, so I would recommend any of their other books as well. If you are looking for a really emotional book, I would recommend Without You by Marley Valentine. This is a male-male romance. Our hero in this book is really in a tough place in his life. He's grieving the loss of his brother. His brother had cancer and passed away, which was a huge hit to his family, and they're all grieving that. His family has been just like overcome with grief, and he's never really received a lot of support from them either. So he is grieving in all the wrong ways and just sleeping with a bunch of different people. He ends up coming back to his hometown and ends up connecting with someone that he never thought that he would. He ends up having a really intense connection with his brother's boyfriend. Now, our other hero dated his brother before he passed away and is still very, very close with his family. They end up kind of like leaning on each other and relying on each other during this grieving process, and they never expected to have such an intense emotional connection with one another. Obviously, the romance is very taboo and they're sorting through a lot of emotions. Marley Valentine just writes like deeply emotional books. Like, her books are gonna make you cry, but they're so good. I have another one that is so angsty and does have a bisexual character. It's called Ache. And our hero is actually engaged to be married to a woman. He is engaged to be married to a woman. Our other hero has just been like secretly pining after him for years and years and years. That's his straight best friend. He never expected for anything to come out of it. And he's never really wanted to ruin their friendship either. So he's just, you know, never said anything. Actually, even goes as far as to plan his bachelorette party. They end up going to Vegas for his bachelorette party. Realize that they're kind of obsessed with each other. They are absolutely in love. It is so taboo. It is so angsty and messy because our hero is literally engaged to be married, but he realizes that he's been in love with his best friend the whole time. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say this, but this one has like a little bit of an amnesia trope to it as well. which I just love that trope. I told you guys this video was going to be long. I literally have so much more books to go through. All right, this next one is such a unique book, and that is Not All Himbos Wear Capes by C. Rochelle. This series is so much fun. It's a male-male romance series with superheroes, okay? The entire series follows romances between superheroes and supervillains. I will make a disclaimer though. Love C. Rochelle. Absolutely love her. There are 4 books in the series, and I hate the 4th book. Like, truly hate that book. So I only recommend the first 3 books in the series. The 3rd book doesn't end like on a massive cliffhanger, so you can just stop there. I don't even pick up that 4th book in the series. I have to make that disclaimer because I don't want y'all picking up that 4th book and be like, Samantha, what the fuck? I've been talking so long, my camera died. But anyways, we were talking about the C. Rochelle book. So this follows a romance between a superhero and a supervillain. 2 characters end up matching on a dating app, but they match in like their human forms, okay? They have no idea who the other person is. It does have a BDSM element to it. Xander is the supervillain and he is a dom. Our hero Butch is a superhero. Not only is he having a bi-awakening and realizing that he's attracted to men, but he's also realizing that he is a submissive. This book is sexy but also hilarious. I was in tears laughing like half the book. It's so funny. I love the banter between our characters. I love the superhero plot line. I would consider this like sci-fi kind of, because there's also like an alien plot line to it. But anyways, the first book in the series is wonderful. So is the 2nd and 3rd book. The 4th book is fucking trash. Do not pick that up. Don't say I recommend it to you, because I definitely did not. Next book is another sports romance, and that is Iced Out by C.U. Ritchie. This one is a male-male enemies to lovers sports romance. It follows our heroes Quentin and Oakley, who entire life they have played on rival hockey teams. So they have a huge sports rival going on. They're in college and they actually end up getting placed on the same team. So they have to work together, try to be friends for the team. And one night they kind of like accidentally hook up. It's like a drunken hookup. And the very next day they win. They win their game. So now they have built this superstition that they only win games when they hook up, which is so silly, but also very hot. And it follows their enemies to lovers romance, their slow bi-awakening. Absolutely love this one. So good. Except I have a lot of contemporary sapphic romances that have bi characters in them. I love how like they all have the same color scheme as well. So the first one is one I've talked about plenty of times on my channel, and that is Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellfleur. It's a sapphic romance with a fake dating trope, and it also is a Pride and Prejudice retelling. Our 2 heroines end up getting set up on a blind date, and it goes horribly. Like, literally, it's so awful. Our meet cute is not cute, okay? The date ends up horribly. However, one of our heroines' brother is the one that set them up, and when he asks how the date goes, our heroine lies and says it was wonderful. She says it was great. She says they had so much chemistry and this is her soulmate, and it was amazing, because she is so tired of being set up on blind dates. They're going into the holidays and showing up to different family functions. Just tired of people asking if she's single, tired of people trying to set her up. Our other heroine kind of feels the same, so they end up creating this fake dating scenario where they will be each other's date. Really liked this one. Has a grumpy sunshine pairing. Some of Alexandra Bellfleur's books have 1 or 2 bisexual characters in them. Another one that has a very similar plot, it's a contemporary romance with a fake dating scenario, is Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. This one follows our characters Kelly and Stevie, who end up meeting each other at the bar, and in one drunken night they have a one-night stand that also goes horribly, okay? It is not the things that dreams are made of. End up parting ways, never expecting to see each other again, until one day our heroine Kelly is auditioning for a play, and when she gets there, who does she see? Who does she see? Our heroine that she had a one-night stand with. And she's like surrounded by her friends and blurts out that this girl's her girlfriend. So they end up creating this fake dating scenario. Very cute. Another one that has been in my collection for a while, and as I was like pulling books to recommend for this video, I saw it, picked it up. So I'm currently reading this one right now, but I still wanted to talk about it. This one is called Sorry Bro, another contemporary rom-com. This book mainly follows our heroine Nara, who has recently turned down a proposal from her long-term boyfriend. Her family is Armenian, and her mother has been pressuring her to find an Armenian husband for years and years and years. So she decides that she's going to take her mother's advice and like search for a husband, and in doing so, she actually finds our heroine. Heroine kind of like starts off as like a friend and sort of like a wingman, but they end up falling in love with each other. Their heroine is also Armenian, so they really bond from that, but she is not openly bisexual. She has not come out to her family, so she's really struggling with that. This one is really good so far, so I thought I would recommend it. As you know, I'm not the biggest contemporary romance reader, but I do like those. All right, next up, let's talk about a contemporary romance, but this one is a darker romance, and it is Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. This is a sapphic dark academia romance with a Medusa retelling. I read this book earlier in the year and I will not shut up about it because it's quickly become one of my favorite books ever. Literally ever. I adore it so much. Like, when I tell you I don't play around about this book, I have 4 copies. 4 freaking copies, different special editions, signed copies, annotated copies. Like, I love this book so bad. I am zound bad for the characters in this book. It has quickly become one of my favorite romances ever. It does have a lot of trigger warnings though, so definitely check those out before hopping in. Those are heroine Lex, who at the beginning of the book is assaulted by someone that she thought that she could trust. She was assaulted by one of her college professors. When it happens, nobody believes her, and in fact, the college is actually trying to sweep it under the rug. Another person that she really trusted, the president of the university, is someone that she considered to be her mentor. When she went for help, she was turned away, and the president of the university is trying to just brush this whole situation under the carpet. So she ends up taking a semester off, and when she comes back with revenge on her mind, okay? She wants revenge against the man that hurt her and also the woman that tried to cover it up. And in that revenge, she ends up seducing the president of the university's daughter, Luna. Luna is the character in this book who identifies as bisexual. This has a amazing bi-awakening trope in it. This darker sapphic romance, the writing style is so beautiful and almost lyrical. Because it's dark academia and a Medusa retelling, it has so many references to Greek mythology and classic literature and even pop culture. So if you are like a classic lit girly, you would absolutely love this book because it really reads like a classic, just the writing style and the tone. Oh my goodness, I love everything about this book. I love the revenge plot. I love the sapphic romance. I love how steamy it is. Sometimes when it comes to sapphic romances, and even like with some of like the contemporary romances that I've recommended, like these are cute, these are wonderful, but a lot of times sapphic romances can lean more into that like cutesy rom-com moment. I love a good, sexy, dark romance. Is what Serpentine Valentine gives me. It's dark, it's sexy, it's everything. She really is that girl. She really is that girl. Next up, let's talk about some poly romances. Now, you guys know here on my channel, I love poly romances. More people, more fun. And what makes poly romances different from like reverse harem or why choose, that in a poly romance, every character is emotionally and physically involved, okay? All in love, they're all dating, it's a whole thing. Next ones I'm going to talk about are poly romances with some bisexual characters. First one is called From Scratch by Katrina Jackson. This is a romance with 2 heroes and 1 heroine. This is a small town romance. Our heroine moves to a new town to follow her dreams and open up a bakery, so that's what she does. She gets there, she ends up having like a flirtatious moment with our 2 heroes. One of them is a chief fire captain and the other is a police officer. Both of them are best friends. They were in the military together, and when they realize that they are both like vying after the same girl, they decide to just go for it. They decide to both court her and woo her, and in that process they realize that they're also kind of like attracted to each other. Yeah. Follows a poly romance with all of our characters, and I love, love, love it. Katrina Jackson has another book with some bisexual characters, and that is Neighborly. I would consider this more like an open relationship situation. The book follows 2 separate couples. First couple is a young couple, and they are moving in together for the very first time. Our hero is a professional boxer, and our heroine is very supportive of that. They end up renting like this duplex from another married couple. Houses are connected, but they each have like their own individual living spaces as well. Other couple is a married couple that has an open relationship. It's just always worked for them. So when the 2 heroines in this book meet each other for the first time, they're so attracted to each other. They just feel like this instant chemistry, and the heroes see that, they recognize it, and they're into it. They want their girls to have a fun time. This one is so sexy. Their poly romance is Give Me More by Sarah Kate. This is a poly romance with 2 guys and 1 girl. This entire series follows a group of friends that own a BDSM club. Starts off by following one of our heroes and one of our heroines. They are married. Our hero owns a BDSM club. They've been married for quite some time. The hero in this book is discovering some like new kinks and things that he's into, and he realizes that he has like a little bit of a voyeurism trope. He wants to explore that, but he's never felt comfortable with anyone else but his best friend. Anywhere that this married couple goes, their best friend goes with them. They've always been super close. So he ends up inviting his best friend into their marriage, having some sexy time, and it follows their poly romance. This next one is a super angsty, super messy, very messy book. But I love it so much. I love this book so much, and that is Push by Nyla K. Ugh, this book is so messy. Okay. Oh my goodness, this book is so messy. Starts off by following Ben and Jessica. They were a married couple and they had a kid when they were really young, when they were in high school. Daughter ends up bringing her boyfriend home for the holidays. I think it's like Thanksgiving or something. So she brings him home for the holidays. Very cute meet the parents situation. Yeah, the boyfriend and the dad, our hero in this book, end up like having a really intense connection with one another, and they cannot help but be drawn to each other, but it's scandalous. One of our heroes is married and the other is literally dating his daughter. Okay, messy, 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 but they quite literally cannot stay away from each other. Our heroine Jessica, the wife in this book, ends up finding out about the situation, and instead of being upset, she's like, oh, this is really hot, this is really sexy, let's make this a poly romance, let me join in this situation. Icon, queen behavior. Like, that is literally what dreams are made of. This is the definition of my perfect book. I love poly romances, love messy books. Will this book be for everyone? No. Do I love it to pieces? Absolutely. And it does have bisexual characters in here. Another one that I've talked about a ton and is a popular sports poly romance is Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This book deserves all the praise. It's one of those books that is so hyped, but absolutely deserves it, and deserves more, actually. Okay, I love this book. It's a poly romance between 3 guys and 1 girl. Our heroine, Rachel, is, she's a doctor. What is she? A sports therapist. A sports therapist? I don't know. I don't know what her title is. Okay, she's a doctor. That's all I know. Dr. Rachel Price. Put some respect on her name. She studies sports medicine, so she gets this job on a hockey team. When she gets there, she ends up seeing one of the hockey players who she actually had a one-night stand with once upon a time, and those old feelings, that old chemistry is starting to come back up. But she also has a connection with another one of the hockey players and the sports equipment manager, but then the sports equipment manager and one of the hockey players also have a connection. A lot going on. I absolutely love this one. It's so freaking good. One of the best poly romances that I've ever read. I've said it before, I'll say it again. In this economy, more people just makes more sense. 4 people with 4 incomes? Dreams. What dreams are made of. If you want like a paranormal fantasy, I highly recommend Written by Catherine Moon. This is the first book in the Librarian's Coven series. It follows our heroine who ends up getting a new job at a magical university as a librarian. Now, our heroine does not have any magic that she knows of. She has magic, yes she does, and it's so freaking cool. I don't want to give any spoilers because it is a spoiler. Everyone's magic is like dependent on their personality, and hers is so cool. She ends up working at this new university and has a connection with 3 professors. Heroes are already in a relationship and a existing coven, and they want to invite her into their coven because they're witches. Love, love, love this one. It also has a mystery element to it because there's like this magical being that is terrorizing the university, and they need to like find it and figure out what's going on. Love, love, love Catherine Moon so freaking much. Another poly romance with bisexual characters is Sugar Daddies by Jade West. This is an age gap sugar baby, sugar zaddy situation. 2 heroes are in an existing relationship. They've been together for a really long time, and they're looking to add someone into the relationship, also to start their own family. They've really struggled to find someone that works in like a polyamorous situation. Everyone that they've been with previously have like tried to break them up, so they end up hiring our heroine. Okay, it's like a sugar baby, sugar zaddy situation. She ends up joining the relationship. Real feelings get involved. I really, really liked this one. It is so spicy. Jade West writes these very like sexy taboo romances, and this one is really good. I'm realizing actually I could probably give you like 10 to 15 more recommendations that are just poly romances with bisexual characters, because like most poly romances are. That's kind of like the whole point. So actually let me know if you guys would like to see a dedicated poly romance video. I probably have like 30 to 40 recs, so I might have to like break it up in parts. But if you want that, if you want all of my poly romances that I've read and that I've loved, because there's a lot, let me know and I would love to do that for you. But it's gonna be a really long video, and at this point I'm making this video even longer, so we have to move on from the poly romances. That I recently picked up and was on my TBR for a really long time is Garen Park. This one is a male sports romances. 2 heroes are both motocross riders, grew up in the same trailer park and have like really toxic relationships with their families, and they've been sports rivals for the longest time. One of our heroes is actually kind of like attacked by his family and ends up going to our other hero to like hide away and be safe. They've hated each other for so long, but now they're starting to have actual feelings for each other, and it is so freaking good. Like the perfect enemies to lovers romance. I'm really enjoying this one right now. Alright guys, it is literally past midnight and I'm still thinking of more and more books to recommend to you, so I might make this into a part 2. Let me know if you would like to see a part 2 of this video, or if you would like to see an extension of this video and have me do poly romance recs. Whatever you guys want, I will do. Just leave the comments down below. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're taking anything from this video, there are really just a core group of authors that do bisexual representation so well. Marina, Vivancos, Taboo, Alexandria Belfleur, Eden Finley, and Saxon James. Those authors have such a big backlist with so many books that have bisexual representation, some that I didn't even mention in this video. So if you're just looking for some authors that do it well, those authors are amazing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening to me yap. It was so much fun to talk about all these books. Like I said, these books really connect to me, and it's like such a personal, important thing to me. So honestly, thank you for allowing me this space to talk about the things that I love, and honestly like be my true authentic self. I think you guys realize how safe you make me feel, and also how healing it is. Maybe one day I'll do my coming out story, because it's quite the story. Yeah, I don't think you guys even realized that I really felt comfortable coming out first here with you guys. And that's so special. That's a special thing that we share. And I'm so grateful for you guys. And I don't want to cry. I love you so much. Thank you for... just thank you. That's all. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying Trope Week so far. If you stayed this long in this video, and I know it was a long video, leave me an emoji. Let's go ahead and leave the bi colors, the bi flag, down below. I don't think there's a bi flag emoji, so let's leave a bunch of hearts with the bi flag colors, just pink, purple, and blue. So leave me a bunch of pink, purple, and blue hearts in the comments down below if you stayed this long and enjoyed the video, so I know that we're bookish besties. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in tomorrow's Trope Week video. Bye!